Welcome back to episode 5 of the Ripley Boys Radio. Today we're going to be discussing Big Ten tournament. And to start us off, we're going to talk about Ohio State versus Wisconsin. Benny, what do you got for us?
Well, Ohio State has been a really disappointing team this year. There's no doubt about that. And Wisconsin, I don't know if they're any much better. I mean, at the beginning of the year, even in December, you could have said this team isn't bad. This could be a middle of the Big Ten team, but they just haven't been. Both of these teams, I think, underperformed, but I think Wisconsin's going to move on to the next round. I just think Ohio State just needs to be done for the year.
Yep, so Ohio State's coming into this one winning 2 of their last 3. 2 big wins against Illinois and Maryland. Bruce Thornton and Sensabaugh are going to need a big game if Ohio State's going to take this one. Wisconsin's kind of been on the opposite stretch. They lose 2 of their last 3, barely escaping at Minnesota. Wall needs to have a huge game to carry this awful squad. I mean, Wisconsin just isn't really any good. And they're going to need a guard to step up, whether it be a Sejan or Hepburn. And KenPom has this game going Ohio State's way by a point. I have to disagree with you. I like Ohio State. They've been playing a little better recently. And with Wisconsin, they're just not really offensively very threatening. And I think Ohio State's, been playing a little better these last couple games. And Wisconsin hasn't. And tournament time comes around, the hottest team is going to win the game. And right now, I think Ohio State's just the hotter team.
I agree. They did come off of a win against Maryland, but that's also Maryland on the road, which, in my opinion, Maryland on the road is probably one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. But Maryland at home is probably one of the best teams in the Big Ten.
Yeah, it's interesting how that works. All right, next we got Minnesota versus Nebraska. It's going to be game 2 of the Big Ten tournament tomorrow night. Who do you like?
I like Nebraska in this game. As we know, Minnesota's the worst team in the Big Ten statistically, and I think we can all agree that, yeah, they're bad.
Yeah.
But I really do like Nebraska. I like Tominaga. I like Sam Griesel, and I like their I can't think of his name. It starts with a W.
Walker.
Yes. They have a pretty solid team, and they just couldn't get it. They just couldn't get it done. This team could be in an IT team, and they've been turning it on lately. They've been playing some good ball, and they've beat some teams like, for instance, Rutgers and other teams like that. And it's just like this. I think they'll go out there and take care of business and end Minnesota season.
Yep, Minnesota coming in, losing 2 of the last 3. Like you said, only winning that one game against Rutgers at home. And that was thanks to Marcus Battle, who just went crazy the last 2 minutes and was hitting every shot. Unfortunately, I don't think he will be able to do enough against the Nebraska team that is really coming together late in the stretch. They're coming in winning 2 of the last 3, and I don't have much to say. They're just a better program than Minnesota at the moment, and I think Nebraska cruises through this game. KenPom has this game going Nebraska's way by 11 points, and I also like Nebraska by at least double digits. Could be getting up into the 20s, but this Minnesota team just really not that great. And when your whole team revolves around one guy having to be really, really hot, not going to work out too well in the Big Ten. Nebraska's got those 3 guys that you just mentioned that are playing very well. So, yeah, I think Nebraska cruises through this one. And then we can get into the Rutgers and Michigan game. That's going to be on Friday. That's going to be on Thursday. The first game on Thursday.
Honestly, I like this game to go Michigan's way. Michigan, honestly, I think this is going to be a good game. This could be a game that goes down to the last shot. Michigan was an 8 seed last year, and they were beat by IU. And I think as an 8 seed this year, they'll come out and I think they'll barely slip by. Both of these teams, I think, are a lot better than the 8th and 9th team in the conference. But I think it'll go Michigan's way. I think Hunter Dickinson he could score all over Cliff Amore if he really wants to. And Jet Howard and all of them, I think they'll have a good game, and they should be able to take care of business and go on and get ready for Purdue.
Yep. Rutgers coming into this one, dropping 6 of their last 8, kind of falling off the wagon from that hot start they had at the beginning of the season. For Rutgers, I think they just have to stop the guard play. Dickinson's going to get his, but you're going to have to limit Howard and Bufkin. And if they can do that, they can win this game. And I think they have the guards to defend. Now for Michigan, they come in winning 1 of their last 3, all 3 going into overtime. So this team knows how to battle. In the Big Ten, every team knows how to battle, but this team might be a little exhausted by the time they step on the floor. So if they don't come out swinging early, it might get ugly. KenPom has this game going to Michigan by 1, and I agree with that. I think Michigan does come out and win, and I think they win by a lot because Rutgers just hasn't been playing very good basketball as of recently. Losing 6 of your last 10, not really playing that great. You're losing to a last-second shot at Minnesota. I get it's at Minnesota. You're on the road, but there's no one at that game. I mean, you're playing again. In the crowd is aunts and uncles. So you got to find a way to win at Minnesota, and you don't. So that just tells me, these guys aren't ready to go, and I think it's just going to be a disappointing day for them come Thursday morning.
The next game we have here is Ohio State or Wisconsin against Iowa.
We have Penn State versus Illinois.
Penn State. Oh, okay. Penn State versus Illinois. I think this game is going to go to Illinois. I think Penn State's a decent team, but Illinois, there's going to be a lot of Illinois fans at the game. And I'll tell you right now, I was at the IU Illinois game in the Big Ten tournament, and their fans travel very well. It's going to be a lot of Illinois fans, and I think they'll win this game. They could win this game by double digits, in my opinion. I think Coleman Hawkins will do his thing, and they'll be able to pull out a win.
All right. Penn State comes into this game winning 2 of its last 3. And I think Penn State has a pretty good matchup here. The key to success is just stopping the guard play. Illinois wants to get out and shoot threes and play fast pace. So, Penn State's ball is a little different. It's basically pick and roll until Jalen Pickett gets on someone smaller than him. And then it's one-on-one, take him to the post and shoot a mid-range jumper. And Jalen Pickett's the guy who's going to usually hit it. Pickett and Lundy are going to have to show up in this game. Probably need one other guy to step up. Maybe that's the guy who shoots all the threes. I can't think of his name at the moment for Penn State, but I'm sure this will be a 4 3-point game for him at least. He'll have at least 12 coming from the 3-point line. And for Illinois, they come in winning 1 of their last 3. I think the transition and guard play will be key, and you can't let Pickett do whatever he wants. So you're going to have to let some other guys beat you. KenPom has Illinois winning this by 1. I think Penn State wins this game. Shrewsbury seems like he has Illinois' number. Penn State went into Illinois and beat them by double digits at home, and Penn State also beat Illinois at their home by double digits. So it seems that Shrewsbury maybe has Brad Underwood in his pocket, as you might say. But I think Penn State wins this one, and I mean it might be a close game, but at the end of the day, I think Penn State's just more gritty. All right.
What's the
Then we
next
can
game?
move into our championship predictions. I don't think we're gonna speculate on games after these first couple rounds. You got to see who wins to really even talk about the matchup. So, who do you like to win the Big Ten tournament? Will it finally be IU's year?
I think that IU is not going to win the Big Ten tournament. I think Purdue's going to win the Big Ten tournament. And I think it's going to be an IU Purdue final game. And I think Purdue's going to come out on top. And why I say this is it is very difficult to beat a team 3 times. And this happens a lot. I mean, you talked about the Penn State Illinois thing. I mean, this is their 3rd time playing each other. That's why I think Illinois is ready to go, and they're ready to kick some butt. And I mean, it's all over the Big Ten. And I mean, there's a chance we could play Northwestern on Saturday in the semifinals, and I think we barely get by Northwestern, and then we're playing in the championship against, I think, Purdue, and I think Purdue wins.
I think Indiana has a much easier road to the championship. For some reason, Michigan and Michigan State and Iowa are all in the northern part of the bracket. And who does Indiana have to beat? Northwestern. I mean, that's pretty much it. And, that Purdue-Michigan game, I'm assuming Michigan's going to win. That Purdue-Michigan game is not going to be easy. And Purdue hasn't been playing very well at all. Not up to par. Lawyer's not been stepping up and doing anything. So the scoring has been subpar. Newman's hit and miss. Morton can't shoot. So offensively, there's not a lot going because Edey's going to get doubled every time. The threes can be open, but nobody hits them. So,
and I think what it also comes down to is teams have learned how to, I mean, you could say beat Purdue, or at least make it close with Purdue. Edey's going to do his thing. It's just how well can you defend the guards?
well, it comes down to double. They double Edey, and in my opinion, he gets a little less foul calls when those doubles come and the hands are flying in the air, and somehow the 7'5", 300-pound dude is getting bounced off his pivot foot. I don't think he's doing that on purpose. I think he's getting touched up, and they've been able to play rough with them as of recently. All the teams have, and I think they're just using that to their advantage. I mean, hopefully that will end once tournament time comes around, and they won't be able to just run their body right into him and knock him off balance and smack his arms every time he has the ball in the air. But if that happens, it happens, and it's up to Ethan Morton, it's up to Brandon Newman, and it's up to Fletcher Lawyer. When they double and they send guys for the double, you got to be ready to shoot. And I'm tired of seeing Ethan Morton catch the ball wide open and he just doesn't shoot because he mentally thinks he can't do it. I'm not sure. You're a Division I basketball player, Mr. Pennsylvania. You should be able to hit a 3 with no one in your face. I mean, that's just what I think. I think Purdue won't win it all. They've not been playing well, as I've said, and they also have a pretty tough road to get to the championship, as I've also said. To be honest, I think Iowa's that streaky team that could just go on a hot streak and end up winning the whole thing.
I really hope we don't have to play Iowa somehow in the championship.
I think it'll be Iowa and Indiana in the championship, and I think Iowa will get the best of you again.
Yeah, I really do. That's one team in the in the Big Ten tournament if you ask me one team I do not want to play, it would be Iowa.
Well, they just
Because
they match up really well against you, and for
they match
Purdue
up really.
and for Purdue, we'd say, oh, we don't want to play IU because, and it's not because of Trace. Trace didn't do anything last game because that's the way that Indiana beats Purdue. It's not through Trace. It never has been through Trace. The last 3 years they tried to do it and it didn't work one time in 6 games. So now they have someone who can utilize a pick and roll, have Edie come up. Well, Edie doesn't know how to hedge. He's too slow. So he stays in the paint. Well, guess what Jalen Hood-Schifino has? A wide open 15-foot jumper. And what is he best at shooting? Wide open 15-foot jumpers.
Yeah.
So I think the matchup is horrible for Purdue. If they get to the championship, I think they lose to IU again because they don't have the people to guard that pick and roll. And the only way Indiana loses that game is if Hood-Schifino goes 1 for 13 or 1 for 14 like he did against Northwestern, I believe, or somewhere on the East Coast, I think.
No, it was Maryland.
Maryland, yeah. Where he goes 1 for 14, 1 for 15, and that's the only way Purdue wins that game. But they just don't know how to guard the pick and roll, and that's the thing that was last year too. They didn't know how to guard the pick and roll, and that's why they lost to St. Peter's. And it's kind of frustrating because you see it every single year. You think something would change, just like IU. Iowa goes on a hot streak. You don't switch the defense up any. What do you expect to happen? Like, you don't run a 2-3 zone. You just keep running man, and they keep burning you. They keep backdooring you. They keep getting wide open layups. Something has to change. And for both sides, Purdue versus IU, nothing's changed. And Indiana versus Iowa, nothing's changed. So both sides, they got to find a way, because I think Indiana's going to make it to the championship regardless. And they just better pray that it's Purdue or anyone else besides Iowa, because I think Iowa just matches up really well and they don't really have an answer for it.
And I mean, Trace has to guard Chris Murray, and Chris Murray's just going to bring him outside and shoot it right in his face, and then.
Well, yeah, and you just have it's like Purdue and Indiana. No one can guard Jalen Hood-Schifino, and for Indiana, no one can guard Chris Murray. So, I mean, do you think Miller Kopp is the answer to that? Do you think even Jordan Geronimo could keep up with him?
No.
So it's just you just got to do your best, and the Perkins kid could get hot. That other guard they have can get hot. I mean, they're a really good 3-point shooting team, and they might be a little streaky, but at the end of the day, tournament time, streaky sometimes wins you games, and streaky sometimes gets you 5 games in a row and you're in the Final Four. So at the end of the day, it's all about matchups, and if Indiana makes it to the championship game, just gotta pray it's not. You just gotta pray it's not Iowa.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes you can't do that thing. I mean, that teams are doing against Purdue, where it's like, oh, let Edie do his thing. But in our case, it's Chris Murray. Don't let Chris Murray do it. Let Chris Murray do his thing and just defend those guards. You can't do that with a team like Iowa because, like you said, one of them will get hot, and there you go.
Well, it's just the thing that they're a great 3-point shooting team, and Sanford on the bench blowing kisses to the Hoosier sideline, that takes some nuts. And you got some guy who can come off the bench and go 5 for 5 from 3 and start blowing kisses. I mean, you might be in trouble. And I think if that's the matchup that's going to be happening in the Big Ten tournament for the championship, it's not going to be a good outlook for IU. And I think it'll be another year of not winning the tournament as it has been since 1998.
I agree. But we can only hope.
We will see what happens. We'll tune in and we will give you our picks for when the tourney time comes around, probably won't see you till after the Big Ten tournament, but we will be doing an episode about the NCAA tournament. Catch you there.